Have you ever wondered why there is so much unrest in the United Kingdom today? David Icke has a theory. He believes the establishment has let in unchecked number of people from other cultures and religions, mostly adult young men. Why? To create chaos and instigate civil wars between migrants and the indigenous population. But how does this benefit anyone, you might wonder? David Icke claims it's a calculated divide and rule tactic to justify fascist laws, generate widespread fear, and keep people fighting each other. He says both sides are being played by a hidden hand via puppet governments with mass immigration that has transformed Western cities with the incoming cultures. Is this really happening and can it be stopped? Let's jump into the recent riots. Prime Minister Keir Starmer responds with a call for advanced surveillance and preventive measures. He proposed shared intelligence, wider deployment of facial recognition technology, and preventive action, criminal behavior orders to restrict their movement before they can even board a train, in just the same way we do with football hooligans, he said. But is this the solution or just a way to control the population further? Something like a dystopian Chinese surveillance government system. Starmer also blames social media for whipping up violence, calling the rioters a gang of thugs, whether it's in Southport, London, or Hartlepool. These people are showing our country exactly who they are. It's not legitimate, it's crime, violent disorder. He labels it far-right thuggery. But is this term helpful or harmful? Isn't it a political term that just instigates people? Using terms like right-wing thuggery can alienate and anger groups and feel marginalized. Is this language addressing the root cause of unrest or just inflaming tensions further? Critics argue that Starmer's rhetoric focuses on symptoms and not the deep-seated issues. This further instigates and alienates and angers people, especially the mobs, leading to a burning sensation of injustice, indignation, and self-righteous rage. But why isn't the government addressing the underlying causes in the first place, you might wonder? In Birmingham, masked individuals with Palestinian flags were seen throwing objects and verbally abusing the news reporter. Did Starmer call this a thuggery? No. Why is this double standard? This only fuels accusation of bias in condemnation of violence. The incident saw masked men in balaclavas slashing the tire of Sky News broadcast van and disrupting report by shouting, "Free Palestine," and making hand gestures, further escalating the tensions and violence. Jess Phillips, one of the MPs, made excuses for masked men shouting, abusing, and intimidating members of the media, saying, "These people came to this location because it had been spread that racists were coming to attack them and they had the right to protect their own areas and police their own areas." The two-tier policing. Is there a disparity in how law enforcement handles different groups? Critics think so. Metropolitan Police Commissioner Sir Mark Rowley grabbed a journalist's microphone and threw it down to the ground when asked about two-tier policing. Does this reveal a systematic bias? Let's talk about the media. The BBC showed footage of two boys being kicked by police at Manchester Airport, but did they show what happened before that? No. The boys allegedly assaulted police officers first. Why didn't the BBC wait for more of that truth? Critics argue that the selective reporting by left-wing media creates a biased narrative. Before the altercation, the boys had caused disturbances in a Starbucks and on the airplane. They reportedly punched a female officer and another male officer during the incident, as you can see here. The solicitor, Ahmed Yaqub, representing the boys, tried to get the police officers suspended. Was he instigating unrest? Does this show conflicting views within the media? Did it question why the clip had just started at the point where the officers landed the kick? Did the staff ask themselves whether dwelling upon partial footage of a complex and confused situation would help or hinder public understanding? Perhaps, like everyone else, they should have waited for more of the truth to come out. That at least might have allowed them to ask how it was that a distorted narrative went unchallenged for several days, involving not just random nobodies on the internet, but also mainstream media and prominent politicians. Yet, BBC's journalists are now in a poor position to do that. After all, they have made themselves part of the story. The tensions between Elon Musk and Keir Starmer escalates further. Musk accuses Starmer of controlling the narrative through the BBC and suppressing free speech on the social media. Is this true? Starmer says, "Violent disorder clearly whipped up online. That is also a crime. It's happening on your premises and the law must be upheld everywhere." Musk responds calling Starmer two-tier Keir. Is this Britain or Soviet Union? Why aren't all voices being heard? Free speech is under attack. Is Musk right? Are platforms like X, formerly known as Twitter, enlightening the people, unlike mainstream media, which he claims only shows half the picture? In Tower Hamlets, East London, Palestinian and Bangladeshi flags are flying high. A white man tries to replace them with a Union Jack and he's attacked. Would these be allowed in any other country? Critics say no. They argue this highlights cultural and social divisions in the United Kingdom. The British population feels a broken sense of virtue with little hope for proper integration into society. Why isn't this being addressed by anyone? In many countries, displaying foreign flags in public spaces is strictly regulated or not allowed. Countries like United States, China, and France typically do not permit public display of foreign flags, aiming to maintain national unity and respect. In contrast, the United Kingdom, especially areas like Whitechapel, East London, have frequently displayed foreign flags, creating a sense of national disintegration and disharmony. This also raises questions about the national identity and integration of people into the society. A noticeable number fail to learn the English language, which keeps them in their own ethnic enclaves. In these enclaves, they maintain strong connections to their homeland, watching television shows, listening to radio broadcasts, and enjoying music from their countries of origin, creating a city within a city. London has become a modern-day Babylon, a biblical city of so many languages and cultural divides. Just like the ancient city that fell because people couldn't understand each other, London risks societal fragmentation. The diverse languages and cultural practices create communities that don't interact meaningfully with one another. This multiculturalism and globalism challenge the unity needed for cohesive society. Economic migrants work here, but their primary alliance and financial investments often lie abroad. This raises critical questions about national identity and social harmony in Britain. To unify the United Kingdom, some advocate rallying around the Union Jack. Tommy Robinson's recent march in London aimed to promote this unity. Despite tensions, he emphasized reclaiming national identity. His supporters chanted, "Rule Britannia" and "We want our country back," waving the Union Jacks. Can such gestures bring people together? The first past the post electoral system is flawed. Reform UK received over 4 million votes, about 14% of the total votes, but only secured 4 seats, 0.6% of the parliament seats. Labour, with just under 34% of the votes, secured 64% of the seats. How does this work? This has led to calls for electoral reform and proportional representation, ensuring seats reflect overall support. Would this change the political landscape and address diverse opinions more effectively? Is Tony Blair the face of globalism? Critics say he uses migration to legitimize digital IDs. Is this part of a strategy to control and monitor populations? Blair's vision aligns with integrating digital IDs for managing and surveilling citizens. Is this a step towards government overreach and eroding personal freedoms? If you're finding this discussion insightful, make sure to subscribe to my channel if you still haven't. Like and share this video with someone who you think should see it. So let's keep the conversation going. Anjem Choudary has been the notorious figure in United Kingdom for decades. He has been involved in radicalizing jihadists and terrorists through his organization, Al-Muhajirun. Choudary has promoted extremist views calling for the establishment of an Islamic State in the United Kingdom, supporting terrorist activities. Despite his imprisonment, Choudary continues his activities online and influence followers globally. His radical teachings have been linked to several terrorist attacks in the United Kingdom, including the murder of British soldier Lee Rigby and the London Bridge stabbing attacks. This cartoon illustrates how politicians manipulate the public by scapegoating. The man with a plate of cookies warns a worker that a foreigner with one cookie threatens his single cookie. This tactic deflects blame from economic hardships onto immigrants or minorities, diverting attention from the true cause of unequal distribution of wealth. By fostering division and prejudice, politicians prevent the working class from uniting and challenging the real sources of economic disparity. This maintains their own power and privileges. UK's unrest highlights the needs to address underlying issues, not just symptoms. Proper integration into society, perceptions of policing bias, and media portrayals all contribute to injustice and indignation. Can addressing these issues and promoting unity create a more harmonious and inclusive society? Punity and altruism can help bring people together. So stay curious, stay safe, and be aware and keep learning at all times. Until next time, keep the Shoshin spirit alive. Adios.